Hello and welcome to Fitness First Show. I'm your trainer and guide Kelvin Moses, and today I'll be taking you through a simple yet effective leg workout. The protocol for this workout will be 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. What that means is that for 30 seconds, Carl over here will be performing an exercise and then he'll be resting for 30 seconds, and we'll be doing this for 4 exercises. But before we get right into it, remember, stretching is very important. So I'm going to have Carl here do a couple of warm-up stretches for us, and then we can begin with this workout. So we're going to start with a standing knee pull. So this is just going to warm up the quadriceps and your hip flexors and extensors. So we got 2 each side. That's perfect. That's good. From here we can move on to hip circles. Really good. So by doing this, as you can see, he is working the rotation of his hips. Very important to have loose hips while getting into your workout so that your hip joint doesn't permit you from getting a half range of motion. Moving on, we go on to 90-90s. Just gonna have him lay down here and bring your knee inward. So this again is gonna bring the abductor muscles into play and warm them up equally. If you do one more for me, Carl. That's perfect. If I can have you back on your feet, and we can do a standing hamstring opener. Just gonna take the leg, take the leg further out. Reach your leg further out, Carl, for me. I'm just gonna go underneath with the hands and open up the hamstring. Really good. All right. Repeat on the other leg. And you're going to finish off with that quad pull on the left leg. Excellent. Okay, so those were our lower body stretches, which were more dynamic in nature because they're going to prep us and warm us up now for the actual workout. Now that we're warmed up, let's get straight into it. Alright, so for the first exercise, I'm going to have Carl here display the pulse squat. Okay, so Carl, if you can just do the pulse squat. So this movement is categorized by a pulsing motion, which means that he's going up and down in a relatively fast pace while ensuring that his knees are at 90 degrees at flexion so that his quadriceps and his glutes are both engaged during this movement. So that's movement number 1. The second movement, Carl, if you could show us, is an alternating lunge. So again, the focus here is on the glute, which is a posterior chain muscle, and the quadricep, which is an anterior chain muscle. Again, hips on the waist to create stability. This works on the quad as well, which is a very important knee flexing muscle. It surrounds the knee and protects the knee from excess pains that happen time to time, which many of us go through. And the glute is a very important hip extensor muscle and a very important alignment muscle more than anything else. So that's perfect, Carl. If we can move on to the third one, which is a lateral squat step. So standing at hip width stance, just one step to the right and one step to the left. It's a very simple movement, but a very effective movement nonetheless. So again, hands on the waist just to create that uniform stability at the pelvis, and to prevent excess rotation of the torso, and just make sure that you maintain that squat height. It's very important. That's perfect. Carl, we can move on to the last movement, which is a standing hip abduction. So abductors placed over here are very important hip extensor muscles that prevent knee valgus or knock knees, which actually happen when there is weakness of the hips that can affect your IT band and overall mobility of the hip. So pretty simple technique, just standing uniform and the legs move laterally away and towards the midline of the body. That's perfect. Okay, now that we have all the exercises displayed with proper form and technique, let's get into the actual workout of 30 seconds on of work and 30 seconds on of rest. Okay guys, as mentioned before, this will be a 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So we're going to start with 30 seconds of work on our first exercise, the pulse squat, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. That's great. What we want to focus on here is getting that equal and uniform pulse with every rep until the 30-second marker goes down. Keep in mind that you should not overly pace this movement, because then you will end up bouncing, which you don't want to do because that can actually hurt the knees. We have 6 seconds left. 3, 2, 1, and relax. We'll be moving on to our next movement, the alternating lunges, in a couple of seconds. As soon as that timer runs down, what you guys need to do is keep a water bottle close to you, because you only have 30 seconds between switching every exercise. So be quick and be prompt to hydrate if you need to. We're starting this next round in 8 seconds. So gather up, get into position, and here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. Alternating lunges. Keep in mind hands on the waist to create pelvic uniformity. Ensure that there's a good degree of knee flexion. The heel of the forward leg should not overly rise up, because then that will end up pushing your back and causing spinal flexion, which we do not want. Excellent, Carl. 10 seconds more. For those of you that experience knee pain, you all can play around with the degree of knee flexion. You don't have to go all the way down. And that's it. Good job, Carl. Moving on to our third movement, the lateral squat step. So we have 15 seconds left on the clock. If you can get into position, be ready. Please make sure to always be ready in stance that you start directly on the clock, because this is a very fast-paced workout, and you have to be on the clock at all times. Get ready. 2, 1, and go. Excellent. So slow and controlled steps, nothing overly paced. Remember, enabling tension on the muscle is very important, and with these slow steps, that tension will actually recruit more of the muscle fibers that are involved in actual contraction, which will cause you to build bigger, better, and stronger muscles. It's very important to also keep your breathing pattern strong. 5 seconds on the clock. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's superb. For those of you that have weak stamina and get gassed out really badly, what you can do is also perform lesser repetitions within that 30 seconds. And for those of you that are more advanced in performing these movements, you can aim to do more repetitions in that 30 seconds. Okay, so we're going to move into our fourth movement, which is the standing abduction raise. So if Carl can get in position, we have 5 seconds left on the clock. 4, 3, 2, 1, and begin. So what we're going to focus here is hands on the waist to promote that neutral uniformity of the pelvic floor. And we're also going to emphasize a lot on posture. We want to make sure that our back is upright, our spine is neutral, so that we don't have excess flexion of the spine. And lastly, what you want to focus is to help you with trunk stability. You don't want to swing your leg back and forth. That's excellent. We've got 3 seconds. 2, 1, and relax. So we have our last 30 seconds of a break before we go into the final abduction raise, which is on the other leg. If you started with the left leg, then this would be the right leg for you now. And this is the final movement of the round. So always keep watching that timer. Also, a quick reminder, if you want to hydrate, always do it towards the start of the 30 seconds so that you don't end up gasping out. And 3, 2, final round, and go. So again, as you can see, there's strong emphasis on raising the leg really slowly and controlling it back down, because you also have the process of adduction happening on the way down, which controls the pelvic floor muscles around the groin region as well. As you can see, as I mentioned before, hip extension is a very integral part of this movement, so you want to ensure that your hip extensor muscles are very strong through. And 3, 2, 1. That was beautiful. Those were our 5 exercises for round 1. We're going to resume after 1 minute of rest, and I will see you in round 2. Okay everybody, 10-second mark. I hope you guys are ready. Our first exercise is the pulse squat. Let's get straight into it. Position yourselves in 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. We'll be moving on to our next movement, the alternating lunges. Alternating lunges, keep in mind hands on the waist to create pelvic uniformity. Moving on to our third movement, the lateral squat step. Alright, we're going to move on to our last movement, but we're going to go right leg first, standing abduction, and go. Excellent. What we're looking for here is uniformity in raising the leg from the midline. We don't want to swing the leg, but you want to take it up very gradually and control it on the way down. Also, I'd advise you to keep your hands on your hips to prevent excess tilting of the pelvis. 5 seconds and we start with the left leg. 3, 2, 1 and go. That's good. Excellent. Good range. It's really good range. Gradually lift the leg. No overspeeding with the lifts because you're going to end up swinging, and that's what you want to avoid, because then you're taking off the actual tension off the muscle by swinging. You want to keep it slow and gradual. That's really good. We have 8 seconds left. Keep your reps strong, do not swing. 3, 2, 1, and that's it. Another minute of rest, round number 3, and then we're going to end this workout. Okay everybody, 10-second mark. I hope you guys are ready. Our first exercise is the pulse squat. Let's get straight into it. Position yourselves in 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. Moving on to our third movement, the lateral squat step. Alright, we're going to move on to our last movement, but we're going to go right leg first, standing abduction, and go. Excellent. What we're looking for here is uniformity in raising the leg from the midline. We don't want to swing the leg, but you want to take it up very gradually and control it on the way down. Also, I'd advise you to keep your hands on your hips to prevent excess tilting of the pelvis. Alright everybody, 10 seconds left to the final round of this workout. We're going to start off with the pulse squat again, beginning in 3, 2, 1, let's start. Alright guys, now that we're done with our workout, it's very important to cool down the body. So we're just going to perform a few cool down stretches, and I'll have Carl display them for you. We start off with a knee pull. Excellent. So this is just stretching the quadricep. So we're just going to hold these for about 5 seconds each. You good? Excellent. I'm going to go for a front knee pull ahead of the body. Excellent, you can switch leg now. Nicely done. If we can just lie down, we're going to display what's called a pigeon pose to stretch the glute. So nothing more than 5 seconds here, then we can switch. Excellent, if you could just get on your back for me and do a single leg knee pull. By doing this, we're going to stretch the hip flexors and switch. It's very important that we have cool down stretches to ensure that the muscles that you've worked up right now are slightly loose after that workout, so it prevents stiffness. And if I could just have you stand up for our last one, which is a squat sit. Your legs in between, grab your toes and sit comfortably. Push your chest out as much as you can. That's perfect. Maintain that. 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. That's perfect. So that's a really short static stretching routine. I hope you guys enjoyed this leg workout, and we will see you in episode number 3 of the Fitness First workout program. Catch you then.